hour and a half before we come on the show tonight. Rangers social media put out a message on X saying that the renewal date has been pushed back by a week. And I think they said because of recent events, and it's left everybody speculating what those recent events might be. I can only imagine that it involves the scenes that we saw at the end of the Scottish Cup quarter-final tie with Celtic, potentially the group of supporters that ran on wearing the Spider-Man masks. I don't know if they're going to shut down the Spidey section of the stadium. I don't know. But that you can only take from that because of something recent, that they're not pressing ahead with season tickets, and that suggests to me that there's things to be agreed on before such times as they're willing to put certain season tickets up for sale and onto the market. So that's one to monitor closely over the next week or so. They said they've pushed it back by a week, so if there is a decision to be made there, or stadium bans or season ticket bans or whatever, then, well, it stands to reason that we'll find out about that over the course of the next few days.
Do we think, Scott, that there's a section of the Rangers fans that maybe should be a wee bit worried?
Possibly. I mean, I must admit, I hadn't thought it. Obviously, Rangers just announced it a wee while ago. It was only when Keith mentioned it, I thought, no, there might be something in that. I mean, what it does suggest is that whatever's going to happen is going to happen pretty quickly, because a week isn't giving you a lot of time to kind of sort all of that out. So I just wonder whether there's going to be real developments regarding that in the next few days.
That's what I'm saying, Scott. If they're going to push it back by a week, then presumably whatever the issue is that they're having to address will have been addressed in that week before the tickets do go on sale.
So do you think that'll be totally separate, Keith, to the investigation, the kind of ongoing investigation, or
the judicial process? Exactly.
Aye.
I mean,
So
look, do you know what? But listen, see if we're all being honest about it, right? And yes, I get it. You know, the ordinary circumstances, you might say, well, we need to wait until people are identified, and you know, if people are charged and then convicted, then you know you've got, on that basis you can make decisions about who qualifies to get a season ticket. When you've got a whole bunch of goons running on the pitch from one end of the park, one specific part of the stadium, they're all dressed the same and they're all wearing Spider-Man masks. You know, there is a problem with how do you identify who's under the mask. I get that, but you know that you've got a specific problem area in your ground, and it's up to you as a club, I would imagine, if you want to regardless of what convictions do or don't happen over the next while criminally, you know there's an area of the ground that's a problem area. So what do you do about that? Do you say, right, you guys can all come back in again next season, or do you say, guys, you've lost your privileges, you've lost your rights, and these tickets will go on general sale to the general public? I don't know how it works, but I would imagine that is the issue that Rangers are confronting. And then you wouldn't need to wait for prosecutions and criminal convictions, Scott. Then you just say, listen, you guys, we've given you this area, you've let us down, you've let yourselves down, you've let the club down. You no longer qualify for that area. Now, how you go about reallocating, I don't know. But are they entitled to have an area at all? Would be a question after that.
You can see there AF Scott in the comments saying, Scott, that Cavanagh was obviously in the away end at the Samisa Stadium at the weekend, talking to the Rangers fans. I think this is something that you be seriously thinking about.
Aye, no, he's certainly been. I've seen him do that a couple of times. Daniel, he's been a lot more visible in that. Obviously, I was at St Mirren at the weekend, seen him getting over there. No, he'll know like it. Clearly, it wasn't a good look. No, those pictures are getting beamed all around the world for that. No, the aftermath of that Old Firm game. I mean, as Jacko said, how they actually go about it. I mean, unless they just ban that whole section or take the whole, because it's impossible, I think, to go and pick and choose. No, who's done what, or who's done something worse.
You can identify an area of the stadium that is posing you a security issue.
Yeah.
And do something about changing the makeup of who gets to sit in there, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Aye.
I think Jacko just wants a season ticket, Daniel. He's hoping a few guys.
Do you know, Scott? I've heard something similar. I heard he's asking about trying to get one.
He's on that waiting list, isn't he?
Aye, that's it. Aye.
I'm still on the waiting list to get into the press box, Scott.